video shots of Central Park's Conservatory Garden, and illustrations of the garden design. Diane Schaub, Central Park Conservancy, speaking.
We're in the Conservatory Garden, which is the only formal garden in Central Park. And we're in the South Garden, the English-style garden, looking at one of our seasonal beds, planted right now with a ton of different kinds of annuals. And we're going to be sort of investigating that bed because it's got so much diversity and a lot of color, and we thought we'd talk about the plants that are there. Everybody asks.
How to design an urban garden. Conservatory Garden, bed number 5. Video shots of bed number 5 with multiple flowers blooming. Diane Schaub, curator, Conservatory Garden, Central Park Conservancy, speaking.
All of the 5 sort of seasonal beds in this garden have a bit of a different color theme, which is traditional, actually. And so the bed that we're going to look at today has 2 different sides, the inside and the outside. The outside faces Fifth Avenue. The inside is sort of a purplish theme. The outside are hot colors like yellows and oranges. So depending on where you are, you get to see a very different bed.
Video of Diane standing next to bed number 5, displaying her design drawing of the flower bed. Then there's a Steadicam video shot that circles bed number 5.
So here we are on the outside of bed 5. And what you see in this drawing is basically what is in this bed. So, done in January, now it's a reality. I'm going to tell you a big secret, actually, about how I design these beds every year. Most people make a design, and then based on that design, they order their plants. But I actually order my plants first, because I use so many different kinds of annuals, different cultivars or varieties. In the whole garden, more than 150 different types. Sometimes you just can't get what you want, often, in fact. So I start thinking about new plants January the latest. When I'm designing in general, I want to put on corners and in certain places along the hedge a large element. And that helps to sort of ground the whole design. So here we have a lovely burgundy hibiscus. It looks like a Japanese maple. People always think it's Japanese maple. The purple of this beautiful alternanthera, foliage only. Then we get into some warm colors like this Coleus sedona and this zinnia. It's a new one, coral. Maybe a bit too bright for me, I'm not sure, but I tried it anyway. You'll notice that there's not a lot of greens just slapped next to each other. There's a lot of different textures, leaf shape, heights. I'm obviously not going to allow really short things to be in the back. Lovely foliage plants like this that just add a pop of color without a floral note. This actually not flowering right now, but it does have color. A nice pale orange daisy-like flower called Arctotis. In the back here, we have Pennisetum vertigo. That is an annual grass that is going to get to be about 6 feet tall in one season. So I'm talking about from April through October. I wish it was a perennial, that we could use it every year. But it grows phenomenally every year. Look at even the shine on it. That's another thing, is the reflectivity of the leaves. Some are shiny, some are dull, obviously, matte, some are felted. And so that all determines how light bounces off of it and what's going to work and where. When you're looking as a visitor and you're looking at the beds, you may not notice all of these different characteristics in the plant, but I think you do know whether or not it's working. When it's wrong, you know it. You may not know why, but you know it. So then we have some lovely feathery, this is related to carrot. It's called Amy. This beautiful feathery foliage. Notice all the insects that are buzzing around here. The flies and the bees, the very small bees, love this. It's just a great texture in all of this filigree. Rudbeckia. Now there are annual Rudbeckias and perennial Rudbeckias. This, of course, is an annual Rudbeckia. But on the other side of this pathway, we have yellow Rudbeckia right there. And right here, those are also Rudbeckias. As you walk down this path, those 2 beds kind of talk to each other in terms of their design, their color, the feeling of them. It's a progression. There should be movement. There should be something that sort of pulls your eye along down the path, some sort of highlight. There needs to be all sorts of levels of interest. You want to sort of space those things in a way so that you kind of propel somebody down the path. So, kind of neat, right? And then, of course, blue, always needed. I love salvias. We have probably 15 or 18 different types of salvia. This is Salvia uliginosa, quite a mouthful. Bog sage. That blue is to die for, really. These are down at the bottom here, vines. Ipomia, it's related to morning glory, and sweet potato. We actually find tubers in the ground at the end of the season. You see the way this hedge is formed? This is a Japanese holly hedge. So there are well, I call them sinuses. They go in and out. And that allows for this design shortcut that I take where I put some really stalwart thing, like this beautiful canna praetoria, it's called, in these areas where I have the most room. And they kind of serve to give the necessary weight as you move along the bed, the sort of gravity of these plants. The leaf is spectacular. Sooner or later it will have flowers, but if it doesn't, I don't care because that leaf is too beautiful anyway. And dahlias. So a pale orange, more burgundy to talk back to that pennisetum and that hibiscus back there. Gray is repeated. So in a garden that's this big, you need to repeat elements as well. We have a lot of diversity, but you also want to repeat things. It's like music, you know, it's sinuous and it comes back to itself and away again and back to itself. And it organizes the garden. Then we come to a corner which is a little bit of a disappointment so far. This is called colocasia, elephant ear, and that should be just so much bigger than it is. But we save these plants year after year, so next year it'll be bigger and we can use it. I just wish it was reading more, so to speak. Lovely lantana on the corner. So we're sort of closing out our yellow period here and moving along the side of the bed where we have colors that I've mentioned sort of bridge the other side. And then some fun gomphrena. Every kid in the world loves gomphrena, this little dry flower here. The dark purple leaves. Often foliage is really the more important thing, even more important than flower color. But they all have to work together. This sort of pops, right? The bees love salvias, as you can see. They're all over them. They drill in from the side of the flower. A beautiful purple coleus here. I love coleus, but they're often very loud. Sometimes they have a number of colors in each leaf, and they can sort of take over. So I want them to play a kind of a supporting role, not too loud. A wonderful verbena that seeds itself around, so every year you'll have it in your garden. So now we're getting into my favorite Chartreuse colors. I mean, that's fun. I'm sorry, that is fun, right there. Ruellia. Butterflies love this, with this very long throat. They can enter to get their food. Here's a colocasia called Diamond Head, and this is doing okay. I buy this one. Look at the veining on this. When you turn the leaf over, it's really a burgundy color, and I love how that picks up other burgundies here. So I want things to work on a local level, and then I want them to work on a larger level as well as I go along. Fragrance is always important too in the garden, and this is a pelargonium, a scented geranium that I use a lot in my designs. And it smells of sort of citrus, and it's delicious. And this, believe it or not, is a black form of cotton. Is that not amazing? Look at how beautiful it is. So drama, right? You want drama. Angelonia, which is this lovely purple. This is an annual that really made it big about 15 years ago in the annual business, and they came in all kinds of colors and heights, and a very, very undemanding plant. Most of these are undemanding, except that we have to deadhead.
Diane cuts off spent flowers to deadhead plants.
You have to deadhead annuals if you want them to go for the entire season. Basically, you're depriving the plant of the ability to make seed when you deadhead it, and so it doesn't send energy into that function, right? It sends energy into producing more flowers so that it could perhaps produce some more seed. But we're not going to let it. It's cruel. Gardening is cruel. It is. Here's a beautiful, what is this one called? I'm forgetting. Black Magic? But look at the shine on this leaf. Love it. Absolutely love it. And then we'd sort of go full around here. Here's something that I love. This is called a flowering maple, but it is not maple. It's in the hibiscus family. It's called a Butylon burgundy. And that can get to be really, really big. So we'll save that from year to year so that we always have this huge element to add to things. And that kind of takes us back to the beginning of this is just bed 5. There's 4 more to go. So check it out.
A compilation of video shots of the other 4 beds in the conservatory garden.
I hope I've piqued your interest a bit in sort of looking at the various seasonal beds in this garden a little differently than before, knowing that there's this long process that goes on and that there's a whole team of us at the Conservancy behind the planting of these beds, including volunteers. And you'll see us out here all the time. If you have any questions as to identification, you just ask away. We're always working out here. So hope you come in and take a look. It only gets better.
Video of birds in a fountain at the Conservatory Garden. Text over video. Central Park Conservancy, centralparknyc.org.